What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the overall market, how this may affect NIO, and what the shorts are doing to NIO right now. Now, before I break anything down about this, though, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla or NIO share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 2 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So anyways, NIO is actually up 1.87% for the day on Friday because of a bullish piece of news that came out, as they did actually announce the fact that they're going to be displaying a new variant of their model. And that's actually very, very awesome. This is going to be the all-new ES6. Once again, it's going to be at the 2023 Shanghai Auto Show. And this is once again very, very awesome news. Now, NIO would also be displaying a lot of their new products. They're actually building their base even more, and they're actually adding more how should I say, luxury and a very, very awesome look to their company as a whole. When you're talking about the ET7 being announced and actually being presented, it makes me very, very bullish for the long term. I do believe in NIO's potential, but I want to note that for the short term, despite how awesome NIO is, there could still be some pain. I want to warn you about that. Now, when it comes to NIO's share price, I want to mention something else that's very important. This is actually the short interest of NIO, and we do have a tendency of seeing daily shares shorted. And when we see these big spikes like this actually tends to mark some downside potential for NIO. An example would be if we look at the daily charts, back in the very beginning of February, we actually had excessive shorting that was going on, and February is actually right here. And the shorting back in February led to this moment right here where NIO actually sank from 12 all the way down to the 9s. Right, for 2 weeks, it was actually marked by a lot of shorting, and the shorting, particularly right here, is what smacked this thing down. It actually went from 12 all the way down to like the very low 10s in just 2 days. So it dropped pretty darn hard because of that. Then there was another instance where there was a lot of shorting. This was around, this was like from the 3rd week of February going into the end of February. And what happened to NIO during the 3rd week of February? Right here, it's right here. NIO went from 10.4 all the way down to the 8s. It bounced and then just continued to just downtrend. And then, excuse me, sorry guys. And then right here, this was actually near the very beginning of April. Something similar happened. Right here, around April, NIO pumped, right? As we approached deliveries, the shorts piled in right here. Shorts came in as if they knew something. And then what happened? NIO went from 10 all the way down to the high 8s. So it dropped like $2 during this period right here of high shorting. Then the shorting went down, and NIO actually ended up pumping. And then the shorting is going up, and NIO is actually starting to downtrend a bit. And my belief is we might see more shorts piling in during the next 2 weeks onto NIO, and they might try to smack this thing lower. And there are many reasons as to why I'm coming to this conclusion. I also want to note that when it comes to NIO, on the hourly time frame, look at the head and shoulders that's developing. Unfortunately, when the shorts pile in, they tend to be relentless. They do not care how you feel. They're just going to manipulate this thing and continue to short it. So now shorts are piling in, right? We have this left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder right here. This is actually leading to lower highs and lower lows. So it's showing some weakness as time goes on. The RSI is not showing any divergences, and it's likely just going to continue to downtrend. We did have a bearish divergence that developed, I think, like right here. Or no, we didn't have it, but we almost did. But anyways, now it looks to me like NIO might be fighting for $9. And it might break below it and start filling some of these gaps below to drop even lower, unfortunately. Now, why else may NIO see some downside going into the next week or two? Well, I think the overall market may play a role. When you look at SPY, we actually have a bearish divergence that's developing. However, I use the word developing. I'm not saying it's done developing yet. It's just developing. It's in the process of developing. What's happening is the MACD and the signal line were way up here back when SPY was at 412. Now they're downtrending, but the price made a higher high around this 415 area. It actually closed even higher on Friday. So we made a higher high in this area right here. Price goes up, MACD is going down, the RSI is going down. What does this mean? This does not mean we're going to crash immediately. It could mean that we might just see the market tank because of earnings coming out. We have all these gaps, right? I wouldn't be surprised if SPY starts to fill at least a couple of these, coming all the way back down to either 400 or even lower, maybe back to 395. In my opinion, it's either going to start tanking or it gets a bounce, one more like last push, and we just continue to develop this divergence. It just continues to form, and then this thing starts to drop. It's got to be one of those two, most likely, in my opinion. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. I don't know if this possible, like, this head and shoulders on SPY is going to just remain. I don't know for sure. It's very hard to tell. See how we have this possible right here, this left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder that could be developing. We technically did not break this top, so it is still a possibility. Or it could just be like 3 drives up, like we have the first drive, the second drive, a third drive up, and then we end up collapsing. Most likely it's going to be one of those two. Either way, downside is likely going to come. Now, when you look at the chart, the RSI was at 64 here, 64.08. So we don't actually have the divergence anymore on the daily, but we do actually have it on the hourly and the 4-hour. So this is actually becoming trickier to predict. And I don't truly know if we're going to get 3 drives up and then we drop, or if the divergence remains and we just drop from here. It's got to be one of those two, most likely. For the QQQ, where is my QQQ? This is most likely going to do something similar. We actually have a possible divergence on the hourly, I believe. I'll have to double check it. Actually, we don't have a divergence on the QQQ, but we don't even need to have it for this thing to start downtrending. It is actually starting to show some signs of weakness over the last few days. Look at the last few weeks compared to the last few days. Over the last few weeks, this thing was on a nice uptrend. It came down to the 280s, and within the last 4 weeks, from 280 all the way up to 320. That's a massive rally it just had, right? But now that it hits 321, what happened for the past week and a half? Excuse me. It was downtrending. It got a nice bounce, and now it's still just struggling to break above this. So it's clearly starting to look a little weaker. It's either going to pump a little more and maybe try to get to 324 and then it just collapses, or it just collapses from here and fails. Most likely it's going to be one of those two. It's going to depend on earnings, so it's very hard to predict. But the downside pressure that is likely going to come to the markets, especially because of the VIX. Where's the VIX? I have all my charts kind of mixed up. Excuse me. This is sometimes kind of tricky. But anyways, the VIX, it's downtrending. In fact, when you look at the weekly on the VIX, check this out. It's at the lowest value we've seen since for all of 2022. We never saw the VIX this low. We're actually approaching 2021 levels. So the VIX is very undervalued, super, super undervalued. And when this happens, we tend to see the VIX bounce. It tends to bounce. So far, we're not seeing it, but it could happen soon. I also want to note that when we look at the daily on the VIX, we could be developing something very interesting. We are actually developing a divergence on the VIX, on the daily chart. So the RSI is making this higher low. The MACD is making a higher low, but the chart is making a lower low. See how the VIX is downtrending, but these are actually trending upwards? That tells me the VIX is going to get ready to bounce. I would say by the time we get to April, in 2 to 2.5 weeks, this thing is probably going to be uptrending. So within the next 2 weeks, I'm expecting the market to likely reverse because of this. And that means within 2 weeks, as the shorts are piling into NIO, as they're starting to short double the shares that we're shorting a couple of days ago, this might actually lead to the head and shoulders playing out. Right? It might end up playing out on NIO. And unfortunately, guys, I know you don't want to hear this, but NIO is either going to pump one more time and still like hold this right shoulder and then end up dumping, or it might just dump from here. I know you don't want to hear it, but that is what the charts are telling us. And the best thing I could do is remain unbiased and honest with everyone. The chart is looking more bearish than bullish to me. All right, so I'm sorry, it's the truth. It is what it is. There's not much I could say about it. And the market is starting to look like it's going to downtrend soon. We could get one more pump, a little bit more pumping up before the big drop comes, or it's going to just straight up drop very, very soon. It's most likely going to be one of those two. Very, very soon, within the next week to 2 weeks, I believe the market is going to see the pullback. All right, so thank you all for listening. Have a great weekend. The last thing I want to mention is I have some merch out. If you want to buy a shirt that says to the moon, or like a hoodie, or some long sleeve shirts, or a tank top, I have some custom merch. Excuse me, sorry guys. I don't know why I have a cough. I have some custom merch for you guys if you're interested. Right here, save 5. The code will help you save 5% on your order. Thank you all for listening. Have a great weekend. NIO to the moon, as the long term is still very bright, and peace out.